Well, good morning or afternoon to all of you, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today is it's a weird day because it's a day of celebration when I finally get to go to a bookstore and see a project that I've been working on for many years with my team. It should be there. And that's exciting when you get to see something come across the finish line after so many years of work. But it's also a little weird. It's weird in that which bookstore can you go to? There's just not a lot, and we're still so distant. So it's wonderful, and I wanted to start off by just saying it's wonderful that all of you would carve out time to join me on really a birthday for a new piece of content, a new framework that I hope will help many. So I'm Daniel Harkavy, and let's get into it. So I've written a few books, and the books are they're tools that help us at building champions, our executive coaching company. We're executive coaching and leadership development company that many of you know, and maybe some of you don't. But for the last 25 years, we've been walking alongside leaders and helping them to better lead themselves, their teams, and their organizations, all so that they have organizational impact and get maximum results as leaders in their businesses. So for 25 years, my team of coaches and I, our staff, our whole team, we spend our days, we're walking alongside leaders like you. So in the hour ahead, what I want to do is I want to focus on this. And this is the book that's out right now. And I don't want to sell or promote the book. What I want to do is I want to communicate to you about the premise of the book, as well as the framework that's showcased in the book, so that it helps you right here, right now in October of 2020. So my messaging is going to be very much so as if I were talking to you one-on-one and you were a leader that I happen to coach. And I don't have the benefit of really understanding your business in this medium or understanding the opportunities or challenges you face. So I will go as generic as I possibly can, so that whether you're leading a big manufacturing firm or whether you're leading a financial services firm or retail or food or whatever it may be, I'm going to talk leadership, and I'm going to be talking about how you need to be thinking and then investing your time right here, right now, as we come into the final days of 2020. And then we need fuel in the tank to move from where we are in 2020 into the unknown of 2021. I'm going to let you know that as I go through this webinar with you, I'm going to leave some space at the end for questions. And my hope is that you'll be comfortable asking me whatever you would like, and I will do my best to help you and to give you an answer that you can take action on. All right. So what I'd like to know is I would like to know if you've been with me before. I want to know how you're doing. I will always ask my attendees, I will always ask them for the dominant emotion that they've been feeling over the last few weeks, or what's the dominant emotion that you're feeling as you're heading into November and December, the end of the year. And I also want to make sure that my chat function works. So will you help me? What's that dominant emotion that you've been feeling as we head into the end of this year? Go ahead and put it in your chat. I would love to see that. All right. So, hey, my team, on my chat, I see our little sub-panel group. I don't see the option to have everybody. Kara, Nor, Todd, do any of you guys see that? Are you seeing some of the chat responses coming in? There we go. Let's take a look. Yeah, we're not either, huh? All right. Well, I'm going to ask, hey, this is being agile and leading on your feet here. I'm going to ask for one of my teammates, and Kara and Nor, if together, if you guys could figure that out so that when we move into Q&A at the end, I have the ability to do that. That would be great. What I can do is I can go ahead and I can make an assumption that will help.
Hey, Daniel.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Nor. I'm not sure if you have the questions panel.
I don't see, all I see is chat, but I don't see.
Okay, that's where people are able to put in their answers, and I can go through that. So do you want me to go through that right now?
Yeah, I want to hear some of the, yeah, give me some of the emotions. Thank you, Nor. Thank you. What are the emotions people are feeling?
Okay, let's see. Sorry. So some people are nervous. They're here and they're grateful for their time together. Let's see. It's not the most user-friendly, unfortunately.
Okay.
Uncertain, introspective.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just a few. Let me see if it lets me see more.
You know what? That's good enough.
Tired and hopeful.
Yeah, tired and hopeful. All right.
Yeah, stress.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Optimistic, overwhelmed. Yeah. So it seems like the people on the webinar don't see the chat option. They only have that questions area.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to have you team, Nor, Kara, you guys can both help me when we get to the end of Q&A. That is helpful because what you just did for me, thank you, Nor, is you just let me know that the group that I'm speaking to today is very much like the dozens and dozens and dozens that myself and our team of coaches have been working with over the past 7-8 months. It has been what a year. I mean, just what an absolute year. And what I hear as I listen to all of you is that you come with grateful hearts, but you come stressed, you come overwhelmed. There's some nervousness, there's some optimism. So we're all over the map. But I'll bet you if we were just to do the pure stats on this, that we would probably see that there's a greater percentage of folks that are looking at the days ahead between now and say the new year, and there's a bit of apprehension, right? And what that does for us as leaders is it causes some real challenges. So this is a term that I have been sharing for years. I'm not the only one that shares this in the leadership space. Many do, because it's a term that is incredibly relevant for business and leadership today in particular, but it has been for years. So let me unpack it for you because it's going to connect to this framework and what this framework can do for you as leaders right here, right now, as you're experiencing those emotions. But the big deal is that our teammates are experiencing those emotions. So remember, leaders, our job is to bring people together so that they can do incredible work and move the organization forward. We're all about moving people forward to get results. And if our teammates are very much like, as are we, we're all feeling these emotions can really hinder our ability to perform. All right, back in the 80s, our military coined a term called VUCA. V, volatility, U, uncertainty, C, complexity, and A, ambiguity. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I've been using this term for years, and every time I ask leaders to tell me if they were to wake up day after day in a state of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, what emotions does that bring out in you? Remember, humans are emotional beings who use logic to back up decisions. Our emotions impact how we feel, not alone, just alone, but how we feel to others. This is big, and I'm going to connect the dots for you in the moments ahead. VUCA. Why VUCA 5 years ago? Well, technology and the pace of change, very difficult for leaders to stay ahead of it and to really be able to see how customers or businesses would be interacting with their product or service in the years ahead. When you look at globalization and how many businesses are so reliant on the manufacturing, the delivery, the support of businesses and people overseas. So we're a globalized a globalized nation for sure, but many of our businesses are so tethered to what's happening in other parts of the world. And you can have weather challenges, you can have governmental challenges, you can have economic challenges, you can have political challenges elsewhere in the world that can radically impact your supply chain and your ability to perform. So you have technology change, you have globalization. And then the third one that I've really been seeing is a big one that has increased VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, has been social platforms. In the past several years, it has been so easy for people to be consumed by these shiny screens and to access information here. And that information is not always accurate. So with social platforms, what you have is you have the ability to change people's behaviors as a result of changing their thinking and their beliefs through social platforms that may or may not be all that valid. You can move people in their thinking, belief, and actions through immediate access, immediate responsiveness to social platforms. So these digital platforms, social platforms, along with technology changes overall, along with globalization, created VUCA. In March, when we first learned of the real threat of this pandemic, when we shut our businesses down, our borders down, our homes down, we lost so much. As humans, we started to feel fear. We felt loss of freedom. Our routines were completely broken. And all of a sudden, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity moved to a whole new level. It radically amplified. It so picked up, and you all felt it, like every human felt it. Are we going to get sick? Are our loved ones going to get sick? Some of you have dealt with this. My prayer and hope is that none of you have lost family members from this, or friends or colleagues. And I've been leading CEO roundtables with leaders of organizations that have 300,000 people on their teams for the last, I've been leading them for really since the pandemic started. And I've heard some terrible stories of loss in their businesses. Luckily, none in families so far. But then you started to really understand the economic crisis this was going to cause. So you have this economic threat along with a health threat, and all of a sudden it starts to really impact how we see one another as humans. And then that got amplified. So we went from March of 2020 to May of 2020 with the atrocity of the George Floyd murder. We saw it on the screen. We saw it real time, and it rocked us. And we've all been wrestling with the very deep-rooted challenges that we as a nation have. And when you take these things, these two huge factors, and then there have been more, but when you take these two on their own, leaders, what you see is we humans, instead of, for many of us, coming together, it starts to cause us to isolate a bit. It causes us to see one another, maybe not as a source of love, encourage, collaboration, but it can cause us to see one another as a potential threat. Everything continues to get amplified. If we watch the debates, if we spend too much unguarded time on social media, we see that this political landscape that we are now just days away from, depending upon whether it's settled in the beginning of November or not, it takes VUCA to a whole nother level. So 2020 and VUCA is on steroids. So think about that as humans. Here we are as humans, and consciously and subconsciously, our limbic systems have been tasked. There's been a lot of stress. Many of you are having to perform your work functions as well as teaching your kids. You're now spending all day, every day in the confines of your homes and trying to lead your organizations. And you have these split roles with spouses that might be working. It creates so much stress. And I have heard countless stories of some of the real casualties that this VUCA, this new reality we find ourselves in, has impacted us as humans. All right, leaders, I say that to you because I know if I had the privilege of sitting down with you right now, I know some of you would share stories of where your marriages have been taxed. I know some of you would share stories of where it's been very difficult for you to be the moms and the dads and the brothers and the sisters and the kids that you've wanted to be, the friends that you've wanted to be, the leaders that you've wanted to be. I'm well aware of that. If that's true for you, think about all of the people that you lead and understand that the humans that you lead are dealing with all of these dynamics as well. And yet the organization that we work for is they're counting on us. They're counting on you to move the organization forward, to move your department forward, to succeed and to flourish as leaders. And it's difficult right now because what VUCA does for us as humans is it sends our systems into chaos, absolute chaos. All right, so let me talk to you about this framework and this book and why I'm excited, as crazy as it can be. I started off telling you that, it's a weird time to release a book. But why am I excited to push this framework out to leaders like you right here in October of 2020? Today's the release date. Today you can get it. Well, it's because I think it's going to do something for you. You don't write a book if you don't think it's going to change the world. You don't write a book if you don't think other people are going to benefit from it. It's a huge undertaking. The outcome of the book, the benefit of the framework, what it's going to do for you right here, right now, at this time in our lives as leaders, it's going to be a welcome friend. Because if we talk about the emotions that you shared with me when I asked and Nora helped, and if we talk about the impact on our humanness that results from a period of VUCA on steroids, we know that we cannot be effective leaders if we're walking around fearful, anxious, apathetic, exhausted, overwhelmed, stressed out. We're not going to be effective. What this framework is going to do is it's going to help you to think, and then it's going to help you to act in ways that are going to give you these outcomes. The first is calm. And I'm telling you, from March 14th, when I was awoken in Germany when the borders were closing, and I felt panic at 2 a.m, I knew instantly that my brain and limbic system was going to be absolutely tasked in the hours, days, weeks. I didn't realize months and maybe years ahead, but I knew that what I needed to do was I needed to calm myself down. Because leaders, you're contagious. You're contagious. And if we create an agitated, overwhelmed, stressed out environment for our teams or for our families, we bring out the worst in people. As goes the leader, so goes the team, so goes the team, so goes the organization. You need a framework that settles the brain down and that will enable you to be calm in your thinking, calm in your communication, calm in your movements, calm. Bring out the best thinking in the people that you lead. It's going to bring you clarity, absolute clarity. And we need that right now. In one of our CEO roundtables just about a month and a half ago, a group of leaders ranging from the chairman of Delta Airlines, who's in the book, the chairman of Daimler, Mercedes-Benz truck bus in the book. You had the founder of the Ritz-Carlton hotels on there. Maybe some of you were with me as well. And you might remember Frank Blake saying, as we're looking into 2021, Frank Blake being the chairman of Delta, former CEO of Home Depot, he was sharing with this group of CEOs, we were all together here on the screen, and he was saying, men and women, we need to be planning for a more difficult 2021. And the difficult task is having clarity as you plan to initiate and move forward into the unknown of 2021. This framework will direct you to the different areas where you need to exercise intentional curiosity so that you best understand what's happening in these areas, so that you have the clarity that you need so that you can then lead really well. And I'll unpack how that's going to happen in the moments ahead. It's going to give you confidence. And I've got to tell you, the emotions that we feel from VUCA do not breed confidence, right? We need confidence. Well, if we're with discipline, looking at these 7 different areas of our business, and we're ingesting the input, if we're understanding the reality, if we're seeing it with clarity, it's calming our brain down. And then all of a sudden, we're kicking in those reserves that give us the confidence to move forward. 2020 has been a year for many of defense. You have got to move to offense. It's time. If you're still playing defense, it's time. You've got to figure out how to move to offense. And these perspectives are going to help you to spend the time looking at what you need to see so that you can move to offense with confidence. Leadership is always about moving people to a better tomorrow. And then the final C is that this is going to give you courage. And right now we need courage. Now you're going to need to take risks, and you need the courage to do so. I've been spending a lot of time with different leaders over the past several months, and there is courage required. There are some tough decisions that are needing to be made. There's some strategic bets that are needing to be killed and new ones that are needing to be created. This framework is going to help your brain. This framework is going to help your head and your heart so that you can move forward feeling better as a human, and then bring that calm, clarity, confident courage. You're going to bring that to your team so that your team can bring that to their teams. And so their teams can bring it to their teams. And now we move it to the organization. And this is why I love this. For the last 25 years, I've believed that better humans make for better leaders. And I believed that we leaders, we have not just an opportunity to create a work environment that breathes life, we actually have a responsibility. It's up to us. You think about it. Our teammates spend the majority of their waking hours doing their work, right? And if the experience is a good one, well, then they go home or they walk out of their home office with better energy, which enables them to give even more, to love even better, to live even fuller in the areas of their life that are outside of work. And when you see people struggling with health, with relationships, with emotional well-being, when you see them struggling in your neighborhoods and in your communities, so often the source of the struggle is their work. And if you look at the body of research that's been done, the work that's been done on what's the cause of that, for many, it's the relationship that their teammates have with their leaders. It's us, which is why I wrote Becoming a Coaching Leader like 15 years ago. So we need, as leaders, to be bringing calm, clear, competent, courageous leadership so that our teammates can flourish regardless of what 2021 throws our way, regardless. And I'm not saying that this is the perfect model and it's going to bring you absolute certainty. Nothing can, but it's going to bring you these C's, and that's going to help you as you lead. All right, let's talk about the premise of the book. This one's fun. Leadership is so complicated, but we humans love to make simple things really complicated. And I'm not the sharpest guy around. I don't have all of the letters behind my name. My whole life, I've been trying to figure out how to make the complicated more simple so that we can get it done, because I believe what's simple is then understood. And then what's understood gets done. And then what gets done leads to the results that I want in my life, and I want in my business, and I want for each and every one of you. So leadership simplified is this. It just comes down to 2 things. Your leadership effectiveness, 2 things. And I've had now 6 years of debates and conversations with executives at the highest of levels for some of the largest organizations, not just in the US, but around the world. And there's been debate, and we've talked about it. And in the end, all of them agree. These 2 things are going to make you or break you: the decisions you make and the influence you have. So I want you to think about leadership, and I want you to think about leadership in 2 buckets: your decision making and your influence. This framework is going to help you to make better decisions and have more influence, and I'll walk you through how each of the 7 perspectives will do so. Now, before I do, I want you to understand that, some of you right now might be fighting the idea. You might be fighting, is that a true statement? What about character? What about integrity? It's a given for leadership. Like, we don't need another book on leadership, character, integrity. Our yeses need to be yes, our nos need to be no. We need to show up and admit when we make mistakes, and we need to have other people's best interests at heart. We need to have the business's needs and the mission that we have agreed to lead. We need to have that front and center, and we need to be thinking about people always. But how do we do it in this VUCA on steroids world? All right, think about this. Going to elevate your decision making and your influence. I want you to write down intentional curiosity, and then I want you to write down discipline. Discipline. If you bring intentional curiosity and discipline to these 7 areas of your business so that you can best see, understand, and then act, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to have more influence. You need to bring intentional curiosity, no ego. There's no one man, one leader who knows everything about the business right now and who has all the answers. If you're around that leader, you need to run. If you think you are that leader, scared. We need the inputs from others. Perspective number 1 is going to be our starting point. Think about a GPS. This is our starting point. Perspective number 1 is current reality. If you don't have both feet firmly planted on current reality, if you don't understand the business as it's running today, if you don't understand what got it here, if you don't understand the key metrics, mechanics, and functions of the business, if you're that disconnected ivory tower leader, and I can tell you story after story of these leaders, they no longer understand how the business operates. They don't understand how the product is made. They don't understand how the services are delivered. They become disconnected. They don't understand the economic, the political, the legislative, the health impacts that are taking place outside on current reality. And if they don't, then their decision-making suffers, and their teammates all know it. So their influence suffers. If you want to make the best decisions, you want to have maximum influence, you don't ever get to a point as a leader to where you no longer understand current reality. And you can't just trust the reports that show you the results for the last quarter. Those are lagging indicators. Current reality includes the year ahead. Current reality is the year ahead. This is where annual planning comes. There's some leaders in the book. We've had great conversations. There's 20 plus leaders in the book that prop up these 7 perspectives, and I really do believe they're the best part of the book. But I was just talking to Captain John McGonigal and John Rinelli. If you guys are with me, thank you for your contribution. You guys are studs, amazing leaders. You know, Captain John McGonigal has been leading our submarine fleet for our Navy for years. And you need to understand 52% of the United States nuclear arsenal is underwater. He's the captain. This guy's led men and women for decades. And he had the good fortune of meeting John Rinelli, also serving as a submarine leader. And John went on now to, Rinelli went on to lead several companies. He's a turnaround guru. And we were talking about this current reality and just like a week or so ago. And if, hang on one second here. If we're looking at annual planning and we're setting a plan for a year without having these quarterly trigger points for 2021 or even more frequent, we're going to miss. You're going to need to have plans for 2021 that are really more short term, and they might be Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, where they can adjust so that you can hit that 2021 plan, but you really need to be thinking about being okay with adjusting just like you have this year. Current reality, where are we at right now? Both feet firmly planted on the ground. We understand what it is that this business does. We're not the ivory tower leader. We're not disconnected, and our teammates aren't walking around cleaning up our messes because we don't make great decisions, therefore causing us to lack influence. Perspective number 1. Perspective number 2 is the destination. GPS, we just had our starting point. Here's our destination. Leaders, you need this right now. You need to have your vision for 10 years from now. I mean, 10, 20 years. You need to have a vision of a much better tomorrow. It needs to be clear and compelling. It needs to be in writing. It needs to be shared all the time, because this is what is going to engage the heads and the hearts of your people. This is what brings out the best in them. If your vision in writing isn't being reviewed by you right now, and if it's not causing you to want to stretch, if it's not taking you from defense to offense, then you may have an opportunity to improve right here. In the book, I unpack all of that for you. Now, I told you I was going to make this very relevant for you in October. If our vision is so big, so audacious 10, 20 years from now, and that's what we're sharing, and our business is struggling, then we might be a little disconnected if we're talking about 10, 20 years in the future. What we might need to be doing is ratcheting it back to, all right, once we're done with 2020, this is what I see for 2021. We need to see with clarity, with confidence, with that calm, courageous state, we need to see how we're going to win in 2021. And you need your team's help to do this. You need other people's help to do this. So in sharing your vision for 2021 needs to move you towards the vision that you see for 2030. But you need to be talking about it. You need to be building plans for it. It needs to be a part of who you are. You need to believe it. If you leaders don't, if we don't, then where are we taking our people? And if we're taking them on this defensive walk around the business to just protect what we're losing, we're going to lose our people. Now, what happens is when you've got a big vision and you can see a better tomorrow, you create a gap from starting point, current reality, to that vision. This is where perspective 3 comes in. Strategic bets. What strategic bets are you making right now to move you from current reality to that future state? Strategic bets are not your standard products or services. These are bets that are going to enable you to add more value to those that you serve, to your business, to your communities. They move you to that place that your vision depicts. Now, in 2020, some of the strategic bets that you may have made in 2019, your current reality shifted so much, or the current reality of your clients shifted so much that you needed to kill some of your bets. You need to do a deep dive on your bets to see which ones do we need to pause, which ones do we need to pursue and really double down on because they make more sense now than they did in 2019. And then which ones do we need to pivot on? Where do we need to create some new ones? We've got an incredible know-how, we've got competence, we have capacity. Let's create a new short-term strategic bet. Typically, they were 18 to 36 months over the last several years. In today's times, our strategic bets need to be shorter. Right now, they need to be shorter. Is there a bet you can make that you could execute on in weeks or months so that you could really move from defense to offense? Now, I want you to see how this works. These are planning perspectives, 1, 2, and 3. Current reality is about the management of the business. Current reality, perspective 1, is about understanding how this thing works. Perspective 2 is about the future. This is where we're going. It's a better tomorrow. It's clear. It's compelling. I can plan from it, and I want to stretch and take risks to get there. That creates the gap. Perspective 3, strategic bets. They're very well resourced. They're stage gated. There's rhythms to them. You know when you're going to either accelerate them or maybe when you're going to pause or kill them, because not all bets pay off. That's why they're called strategic bets, not strategic guarantees. The best leaders know that they're not all going to pay off, and they're okay with that. That's not critical failure. What that is that's failure that teaches. So then you adjust the bet or you place a new bet. All of this is about the head and the heart management and leadership of your business. Now, as I look at 2020 and I look at the quarter ahead and the year ahead, perspective 4 is one where I think we are all going to have opportunity, me included. Perspective 4 is the perspective of the team. I can't one and done this. And I want you to understand the perspective of the team is me as a leader understanding their perspective, me not telling them mine. Did you get that? Perspective 4, the perspective of the team, is about me understanding what they see, what they feel, and what they need so that I can better resource them, coach them, develop them, align them so that they can succeed. That's my job. That's your job. In 2020, to get the perspective of the team, the normal rhythms and structures we had in place, for many of you, they got radically disrupted. Me too. I'm a CEO. I've got teammates that are not just here in Oregon, but they're around the country. And those that I used to see every single day in my office in the Portland, Oregon area, I don't see them every day. I don't break bread with them. I don't run with them like I used to. It's taking its toll. So the perspective of the team, I've got to do some work. I need to understand for the long haul, and I'm just going to say for 2021, how do I need to change my rhythm? How do I bring intentional curiosity? How do I move through the organization, not just my direct reports, who I see all the time, but how do I move through the organization so that I understand what it is that Nor, who has just helped us out here, Nor, what do you need? I know you've got a great leader. That's Todd, great leader, but I need to understand, what do you see? Where do you see new opportunities? Where do you see challenges? The better we move through the organization to understand the perspective of the team with one goal, only one. The goal is to better equip your teammates so that they can flourish and succeed in their roles or in the business so that we can win. That's the only reason I do it. I'm not moving through to understand where my teammates are performing well or where they're failing. That's management. I'm talking about leadership. I'm talking about understanding what they see, what they feel, and what they need so that I can make better decisions, or I can equip their leaders to make better decisions, which ultimately increases my influence. Now, if I understand the first three perspectives, 1, 2, and 3, and I have the team's perspective on 1, 2, and 3, you don't need to be a genius to see you're going to make better decisions and have more influence because the team's helping you to understand current reality. You're having conversations to see if the teammates believe and see themselves in future vision. And depending upon what you hear and what you believe, that changes how you operate. You're having conversations with your teammates to see and understand how they're contributing to the strategic bets, and do they see it? And do they understand how the bets are leading you to that future state, that vision? All of that's informing your head. All of that's transforming your behavior. Now, the next perspective is a biggie. The perspective of the customer. If we're not getting the perspective of the customer, there's a high probability we're going to miss within the next couple of years. What does the customer think? In my book, I say you can't trust surveys. I'm not saying surveys are bad. You can't trust surveys alone. The best leaders, they sit face to face, challenging in 2020, with their customers to understand what it's like to do business with their organization. They have the courage, that intentional curiosity to ask, what do you like and what don't you like? And where are you? How are you? What do you need? As a business, if you're a B2B provider, or if you're B2C, how's the consumer engaging with your product or your service? What do they need today? What do they think they're going to need in 2021 and beyond? If you approach this with discipline, and a regular part of your calendar is you talking to your customers and finding out what they need and what it's like to do business with you, what you're doing is you're informing your head so that you can then move with the team, and you and the team can then be speaking into the bets or adjusting some of the tactics and operational issues in current reality so that you can better serve your customers, because you always have to be better serving your customers. That's what this is all about. Your businesses exist so that you can create value for those that buy or use your products or services. But if we don't really understand where they're at in today's times, what they really need, how they've been rocked and hurt, challenged, where they see opportunities, what they would love for you to create or to augment or to better resource going forward, if you don't hear that from them, your decision making, your influence suffers. Next perspective, your role. As executive coaches, this is where we do a lot of our work. We use those previous perspectives to inform how you need to be functioning. And that's why I'm excited about this book right here, right now. I told you at the beginning of the call, I wanted to help you by giving you a framework that would take away the complexity of leadership and simplify it. What do I need to be doing as a leader? You need to be filling your day with activities that will enable you to do these last perspectives. If you spend your day best understanding current reality, communicating, sharing vision, building strategy, placing bets, resourcing bets, spending time with your customers, understanding what your business needs. You spend your time doing that, you're going to win. Now, how do you do that in a pandemic, politicized, crazy world? Well, you got to figure that out. That's your job. You got to figure out how you aren't going to be the hindrance. I'm not going to be the hindrance to the business. Oftentimes, businesses stall because leaders stall. You know, a great book by a fellow executive coach, what got you here won't get you there. Well, that has never been more true than it is right now. So what are some of the disciplines that you had in previous years that you need to carry forward? And what are some new ones that you need to add? What are some new disciplines because you now live in a Zoom world? New disciplines because you serve the customer differently. New disciplines because you engage with your teammates, manufacture differently. What are they? You got to figure that out. And you need to do so that it fits on one page. In the book, we're going to give you tools and frameworks tools that will support the framework so that you're not left hanging like, how do I do this perspective? How do I improve on it? We've got go-to tools for you for just about every one of these. All right, you've got 6 perspectives down. You see what you need to be doing. It's on one page, a one-page plan. It's quarter by quarter so that you can grow as a leader moving forward, so that you're making the best decisions and having maximum influence. This 7th perspective is why this book went from probably a 6-year, or from probably a 1 or 2 year project to a 6-year project, because the next perspective I didn't see clearly. The next perspective is the outsider. Once I saw the 7th perspective being the outsider, I knew this book's done. This framework's done. Because for 25 years, my team and I have been walking us alongside leaders like you to help you to make sense of those other 6 perspectives. What we do is we help you to think better. Who's on your team right now from the outside that's helping you to process through all of the chaos of VUCA on steroids, helping you to see each of those 6 perspectives so that that 6th one, your role, you're fine-tuning, you're developing the skill, you're adjusting the discipline, you're going about communicating differently, you're getting new thinking so that you can continue to grow. Who's that outsider that's helping you? It could be a coach, it could be a mentor, it could be a board member, it could be a peer group, it could be a group of people that want to see you succeed. They're going to encourage you, they're going to challenge you, they're going to bring inspiration to you, they're going to think with you, they're going to help you to move from that chaos to that state of clear, calm, confident courage. That outsider's needed. The best of the best leaders have the outsider. Look at every athlete. All athletes have a coach. They've got somebody there to help them to be their best. Who's that outsider that's running alongside of you, helping you to move forward with that confidence, that clarity, that courage, that calm? Real quick recap. There you go. These are the 7 perspectives. I outline them in detail. There's, like I said, 20+ leaders in the book that prop up why these perspectives are absolutely mandatory. You want to spend your time here. It's available now. We should be able to go into the Barnes & Nobles, jump on Amazon and get the book. You can get it in written copy right here, right now. I am bummed. I read the book with my buddy Scott Higbee at Studio C a few weeks back in San Diego with the expectation that it would be on Audible and you'd be able to download it and listen to it, to this voice, for hours. I pity you, I think. But I thought it would be released today, and we've just learned it won't be released until January. So you're not going to be able to listen to it until January. But if you do buy the book today, there is a lot available for you. You get the written book. You can go to our website, and the website is simple. It's the7perspectives.com. And you can go to the website, and there's a lot of material that is there for you today. There are resources that are there for you today that will augment just the reading experience. So this is where I want you to know there's a short window. You can't push for urgency and not mean it. And the reason that companies like ours put a deadline on an offer like this is because we know that if it just goes on and on forever, it's going to sit in your inbox and there's a chance you're not going to take advantage of it. And then if you don't take advantage of it, then why the heck did we do it? We did this to help you. So here are bonus materials that we're excited about. We put a lot into them. The study guide helps you to better understand the content of the book and where you can grow and apply. The crisis ebook, our CEO mentors at Building Champions and I put this together back in April, and it is relevant for right here, right now. You can download that as well. The team retreat guide, I think I'm probably, I'm excited about all this, but the team retreat guide is going to be cool. The fourth quarter of last year, I was with an organization in Tokyo with one of our mentors, and we did a 7 perspectives retreat, a day and a half just focused on aligning an executive team around these 7 perspectives so that they can think better, make better decisions, and then build their plans for the year ahead. It's a super great planning framework. This is what you want to be using with your leadership team. In the team retreat guide, we've got sample agendas for you so that whether you invest a half day, a full day, or a day and a half, you're going to see how to do it. And I think that's going to be one of the most beneficial tools for many of you in the year ahead. The interview series is where you get to listen to our special guests, the contributors to the book, the men and the women that are leading organizations like the former CEO of UNICEF. She now serves, Carol Stern, she now serves as the CEO of the Walton Family Foundation, the executive director. You've got Frank Blake in there, Martin Dahm, Patrick Lencioni. It's super cool. So you're going to want to listen to those interviews to best understand how these perspectives can help you to lead better. And then there's a quick start audio guide. You don't get the book until January 5th, I think, on Audible, but I will walk you through the quick start guide audio if that will help you as well. So what you want to do is you want to go to the7perspectives.com and you want to download all of those resources. Now, the assessment is something that is going to help you to see where you have strength and where you have opportunity. So on the website, you'll have a link to take the assessment. What is really cool about the assessment is that not only will it show you where you're at in comparison to what we think, it's going to show you where you're at in comparison to all of the other leaders that are taking it right here, right now, and have been taking it over previous months and years, because we've been using the assessment with our clients and we have all of that data so that you will see how are you doing in each of these perspectives in comparison to a much larger and growing database. Take the assessment. It will help you and it's going to help us. All right. So if you want to follow me and stay in touch, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm sometimes on Twitter, sometimes, but that's how you get me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And I'd love to communicate with you that way. Order your book on the website. At the bottom of it, there are several different places for you to buy the book. Baker Publishing has published my last 2 books, and they're phenomenal. When you see at the bottom where you can order the book, I'm going to tell you right now, buy it from Baker, because Baker's giving a 40% discount if you buy 1 book. If you want a bulk order for your team, you reach out to us. We're doing some pretty cool deals for our larger clients where we're selling mass quantities for your management teams throughout your organizations. And we're doing some additional stuff with webinars and things of that sort if you're buying enough. All right. So 7 perspectives. I hope this framework helps you. It's going to simplify leadership. It's going to bring you to that state of calm, clear, confident, and courage. You need to apply intentional curiosity and discipline in each of these areas. And order the book. Let me know what you think. It's about 185 pages. It's not a long read. It's simple to understand and it is effective. Okay, I'm going to stop my screen share. I'm going to try to. All of the different, there we go. And all of the different platforms that we use in slideshow. There we go. So yeah, all of the different platforms that we use, I sometimes find myself a little confused as to which one's which and how to use them. So I would really like to figure out how I could see your questions. And if I can't, I'm going to trust my amazing team to help me. So right now, I would like to know, do any of you have any questions with regards to the 7 Perspectives framework, what we're offering? That offer does stop tonight at midnight. I failed to say that. I said we put a time frame on it. We've been saying that all of those bonus materials are here up through release day. Midnight Pacific time is when the website's going to change. Tomorrow morning, they're gone. So I encourage you to take advantage of them.
Danielle, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. So we did have a few questions.
Great.
So someone was wondering if you can actually go back to one of the slides that showed all the 7 perspectives.
Sure.
They are also on the website. So if you go to 7perspectives.com, we do list all of them.
Let's do that instead of me going back, because then I'll possibly break my computer. I'm just not that good. So
Okay.
go to the 7perspectives.com, get the 7 there. That will give you it perspective by perspective. What else do you have?
Okay, and then I think you already answered this, but high level, if you could answer it again. So what made you decide during this time when everybody is deciding not to publish books? What made you decide to go ahead and push this book forward?
So great question. I first started on this project in 2015, started using the model in 2014, started contemplating writing the book in 2015. And at the time it was 5 perspectives, but it just I didn't have peace with it. And then the current reality had the customer perspective in it at the time. And when I started spending more time with some of my CEO level clients and really understanding what they do with their days, I was taken back by the priority they place on sitting in their restaurants, driving their trucks, sitting with the users of their products in their homes. And I thought, man, this is so big. The best leaders, they make this perspective a priority. It needs to stand on its own. So then there went 6 perspectives. And I still didn't have peace on it. And now let's fast forward. There were probably 6 perspectives all the way up until 2018. And in 2018, I had one of those divine inspiration shower moments that sometimes we have, our best ideas in the showers. There's some neuroscience research as to why that happens, but that's when I got the 7th perspective. And the 7th perspective was the result of me just kind of thinking as I was showering, thinking about my day, what was coming, in the hours ahead. And I was reflecting on the goodness of the last few days, where I spent the last few days with clients live, one-on-one, full days with them. 2 different clients, and I thought, man, all I really did with them was I just helped them to think. They needed my perspective. They wanted to process these other perspectives with another human who had only one goal, and that was to help them to succeed. And all of a sudden, I went, the perspective of the outsider. And then it was giddy up, let's write. Okay. So we entered into, with our agent, the book deal process in 2018. We were going to release in 2019. I was slow. I also run a company and serve as a CEO mentor. And so we pushed the book back a little bit. Maybe we're going to release in April of 2020. And once the horses leave the barn on something like this, for me, there's no turning back. I looked at 2020 and I thought, wow, this is a rough year to release a book. And then I thought, this is a brilliant year to release this book, because leaders need a framework like this right now. They have to have this. Like, now is a time for you to understand how to simplify your job so that you can be most effective. So I went from being apprehensive because, maybe we don't know how to sell it all that well. Maybe there's not a lot of bookstores that you're going to see it in. You're not going to be able to walk through airports and see it on the airport Hudson book stand. That stuff's not going to most likely happen like it used to. Not right now, but I thought, I don't care. We'll figure out how to get it out there. You leaders need to read it. You need to deploy it. It will help you to lead as you move into Q4 and into 2021. That's my answer.
Great. And then we had one more. So starting small businesses was up something like 600%.
Yeah.
Since March. What advice would you give someone who is starting a small business right now?
Well, you're in good company, because I'm starting one too. I just incorporated for a new organization last week. I'm starting a not-for-profit corporation called Set Path, where we're going to give belief and life planning to America's youth. And we're going to do it gratis with corporate partners. A plug for Set Path, and if any of you business leaders are looking where you can make a difference, we're going to go after all sorts of America's young folks, the 22-year-olds that are drifting and trying to figure out in this world, how do we move forward? They need more seasoned people to believe in them, and then to put a framework in front of them that can help them to go from a state of learned helplessness to intentionality, something we've been doing with our leaders for 2.5 decades. So your question of what advice do I have for you is the advice that I have for me. Move through these perspectives with absolute clarity. So I understand our current reality for our organization, and I have a pretty clear and compelling vision for where we're headed. And it's now time for us to pick our strategic bets. It's time for us to make sure we've got a really great team around us and to move forward. So for you, spend time with those that are going to buy your product or experience your product, and make sure it's something that excites them. Oftentimes we start businesses because we're excited about them, but we don't have the input from the people that'll be buying them or using it. And I would encourage you to spend time doing that. I would also tell you that you need some cheerleaders around you, because starting a business is tough. You know the statistics, how many businesses fail. 75% of businesses that start won't be around within 5 years. You know that, but that's not a reason to not start one. You know, my good friend Michael Hyatt, who I wrote my last book with, Michael was a client for years, and we wrote Living Forward together. He releases a book that he just went Facebook Live today. I talked to him about it about a week and a half ago. And his book is How Entrepreneurs Are Going to Save the World. And I'm like, amen. Like, buy that book too, because I think he's right. I think what's going to happen is there are going to be all sorts of new opportunities created in this world, and we need to figure out how to take the risks and create those products or services so that we create a better tomorrow. So, some good fans, because you're gonna encounter some roadblocks. You need some people to help push you up and over them, or some people that take them down in front of you. It's a tough deal. Make sure that you think about in advance what would cause you to fail. This is a big one. Again, in my book, Annie Duke is in my book, and Annie Duke just released a book on decision making about a week ago. Look it up. Annie's last book, Thinking in Bets, was phenomenal. This book's all about decision making. It's one that's going to be on my read list. I'm going to read it as soon as she sends it to me. Annie, if you're with me, send me the book, and or I'll buy it. But I was talking to Annie, and in the book, she talks about the best leaders before they launch a strategic bet, before they launch a business. They think about what will cause it to fail. They imagine all the different scenarios, and then they try to build strategy against those scenarios. Super smart. Don't go in with just wishful thinking. Think about what would kill you. At Building Champions, we've called it worst case thinking. Once you can deal with the worst case and build plans to overcome your worst case, then you can move forward, and that's our job. All right, folks. I hope that helps. Oh, go ahead.
We have a couple more if you have the time.
Yeah, we still have 2 minutes left on this thing, and I'm okay. I would love to answer questions, Nor. So if you're good, let's keep going.
Okay. What do excellent leadership cultures look like in this current climate?
So excellent leadership cultures in this climate. So whoever is asking that, are you talking about how are they meeting, or what are they doing? If you're still with me, maybe you could shoot that a little more clarity on that so that I can really hit the bullseye with your question. Nor maybe whoever asked that question is sending you their update. Maybe you could ask me the next one if there's another.
Yeah. Why are the 7 perspectives needed now more than ever?
Because leadership is brutal right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's brutal right now. There's so many different things that we could be doing and should be doing. I was with a leader just, I'm not going to say, because I don't want any calendar connection. I was with a leader within the last few days where the leader thought that he had a really good grasp on the team's perspective, thought that he had a really good grasp on current reality, and then learned that he was on the brink of anarchy with his team. Because in his words, he was saying that my team didn't tell me that there were problems. And they didn't tell me that they were struggling. And I said, well, how curious, present, empathetic, intentional were you with really spending the time to find out where they were, what their thoughts were, what their ideas were on how to move forward, what they needed in order to succeed? If you see that you just focus your role, which is perspective 6, if you just focus on those first five perspectives, and then change your role so that you can best flourish. And if you have that 7th perspective, that thinking partner, that you show up and you got your notes ready, like you're hungry, you want to learn, you want to process, you want to think, which the majority of our clients do. If you do that right now, you're going to stack the odds in your favor of moving through the next quarter with momentum, and that's the momentum you're going to need to take you into 2021. So I believe, like, out of any time I've been a leader, and I've been leading businesses now since I was 23 years old, I'm 56. It's the majority of my life I've been leading teams and leading businesses. And I don't think I've ever seen anything so complicated. I led through the crisis, the economic crisis, where the majority of our clients were in banking, almost killed us. I remember 2001 and the whole stock market and .com, and that almost killed us. And then I remember, in the 90s and in the 80s in my previous business, I remember those near deaths. I remember the difficulty of leading my team and my business through those times. I've never experienced anything even close to what I've experienced this year. This is crazy. All right. That crazy creates all those emotions. I need a framework so I know how to win. Here's some cool things, folks. This year has been a year of innovation for me and our team. We have some new models and frameworks that we're going to be bringing out to you, along with the stuff that we brought out this year at Building Champions, that are going to even better serve you in 2021. So it's a new reality, leaders. We need to be adjusting and growing. Framework's going to help you. Do we get clarity on that team question?
We did. So the original question was, what do excellent leadership cultures look like in this current climate? And let me scroll, back down. I lost it. Oh, sorry. In the context of growing, nurturing, and leading your team in the face of challenge.
Okay. All right. So in this focus of how do we grow and nurture a team, which then impacts culture so that we flourish, that's a big question. Not only do I lead the CEO roundtable, I lead the CHRO roundtable. So I bring all these HR leaders together who are responsible for people, talent, leadership. And we do these webinars where it's just 12 of us on the screen, 12 of them, and then myself and some of my teammates. And that's been the big challenge, is like, how do we continue to develop our people? We know that in 2021, the likelihood of big training gatherings is probably going to be minimal. So we're going to have to use this type of a medium. We're doing a lot of these at Building Champions, these Zoom workshops where we do breakouts with teammates. We have connection. We just did one 2 weeks ago, reviewed the results yesterday. Phenomenal. Continue to coach and develop your people. We released the Becoming a Coaching Leader e-course this year. And that e-course is about 4 hours and 6 minutes of video and workbook and audio content that will help you to best coach and develop your people right here, right now, in this type of an environment. Because what I want you to hear is that Building Champions has been a remote workplace culture for 25 years. Our coaches throughout the country, but we bring them together every Monday, and they work with their clients just like this, right here on the screen now, which used to be on the phone. And in the e-course, we talk to you about how you can coach and develop your people. What are the conversations you need to be having? So that's a resource for you. I would tell you that one-on-ones are probably the biggest differentiator for the question that you asked. The power of your one-on-ones, how well prepared you are. Are you ready to really listen? Are you ready to ask questions about their well-being and how they're doing? Are you clear on what their priorities are, and do their priorities align with your priorities for them? Are you resourcing them? Do you know what they need in order to flourish? The better equipped you are in those types of conversations, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to coach them up better. As far as leadership teams, you need to be coming together. So when the pandemic hit, we went to daily leadership meetings because everything was changing hour by hour. Then once we started to kind of find our footing back in April, we said, okay, now we're going to go to a few meetings a week. Things aren't as volatile. And then we went to our typical Monday meeting for our leadership team. And then we kept an optional Thursday afternoon. But we always have longer strategic meetings where we focus on our strategic bets once a month. And then we do our quarterly planning retreats where we spend time looking at the overall health of the business. We really look at these 7 perspectives and we say, how are we doing? And I would say that how we've done that this year has changed. We've had to use this medium instead of everyone being together, although we've started to get together again. So some of us are now gathering again, and we're doing it in outdoor areas, or we're distancing in the office, and we're doing that with clients as well. We've had coaches that are out wearing masks or shields, and they're with their clients leading live workshops, because there are businesses out right now that are moving forward. They are bringing their people together. They're pouring into them. They're making sure their teams are healthy. You know, another resource for you, I wish I knew who you were and what kind of a business you lead, but I love Patrick Lencioni's team health work. And, you know, the 5 dysfunctions is a fantastic one that if I'm you right now, I'm thinking about how do I make sure that my team, and my team, you're here, leadership team, we need to be looking at doing a team health update as we move into the first quarter of next year. How are we doing on trust? How are we doing on conflict? You know, our new norms, how are we doing? We have to continue to do the things we've always done, but we need to do them differently, and we need to add to them. So celebrate with your team, over communicate, deploy these perspectives. Really, the one-on-ones are the big difference maker. You know, when I in one of the CEO roundtables a few months back, again to quote Frank Blake, he serves on the board of Delta as the executive chairman. He's on with P&G, a large hospital in Atlanta, a few others. And in interviewing executive teams on the teams in the organizations which he serves, he found a common theme, which was leaders are doing a great job communicating out, kind of town hall, but there was opportunity for them to better connect one-on-one. And his advice was, have tea on the porch. He's in Atlanta. Have your teammates over, keep them 6 feet apart, and have tea on the porch. And when we've done that at Building Champions, whether it be a run or whether us all having lunch here out at my property 2 weeks ago, just seeing one another live, it's life-giving. We need to be figuring out how to do that more as we move into 2021, as long as we don't see any real health risks spike like there is the risk of. Nor we're beyond the mark. I don't know how many people are still with us, but
we have quite
are there
a
any
few.
other questions? Okay.
We have one more that I would hate not to answer.
Okay, I'll do it. Okay.
So someone would like you to go over specific tools that leaders can access. So for a leader to wrestle out his or her best role.
Okay. To wrestle out his or her best role. This is part of what I was talking about or alluding to just a few minutes ago when I said we've got some new tools and frameworks. This year I came up with something that I call your ultimate contribution. And we as a team, and I'm talking about my leadership team, my strategy team, we all self-assessed where we thought we made the ultimate contribution to the organization. And then we spoke into one another's roles and to our experience and our giftedness, and we all identified where we thought one another could make the ultimate contribution to the business. And that was a really healthy, cool exercise. We did that, and then we went through this taking ground model, which I've been using now for years. If you imagine an octagon, stop sign. On each wall, put down the primary functions of your business. I can help you. All right. For most businesses, you have finance, you have technology, you have sales, you have marketing, you have customer support, maybe you have supply chain, maybe you have quality assurance. Look at your 8 and try to make it 8. And then look at those 8 as a fortress. All right. This is the building champions fortress. These 8 walls, they're here and they need to be strong. My job is to sit right in the middle as CEO, and I surround myself with my strategy team, and we all together need to be seeing the strength or vulnerability of each of these walls so that we can expand territory. Expanding territory can be in growing revenue, number of people served, customer satisfaction, profitability. You need to identify where you want to take ground, because in business, we're always taking ground. We're always growing. We're always improving. We're always on the offense. We need to be living there, leaders. Oftentimes, we start to go defense and we just try to protect the walls. Then we're in trouble. All right. So we've got this ultimate contribution. We have this taking ground model. What you look for are, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being maximum strength, 1 being extreme vulnerability, you look for where you have cracks in those walls as you're looking to move towards the business that you see yourself becoming, as you move towards the vision. And you identify where you have pain points. Where do you have vulnerabilities? Those vulnerabilities then spur on conversations where you look at your team and you say, this is where we have ultimate contribution. And you look at where we can move one another around so that we can best serve the business, mission first, people always. And you take somebody who has great skill in sales and you say, you know what, you've got this wonderful analytic mind. I'm going to put you over here and I'm going to put you over in marketing, or you can move some of your teammates around. Or what it shows you is where you actually lack the team capacity and you need to go outside. You need a third-party partner, or you need to make a new hire. So those types of exercises can help you to really make sure that you're best aligned to support the business. And I like this question, and I like going through these exercises right here and right now, because many of our businesses have changed so much. And as we look at 2021 and we're looking at planning right now, don't be afraid to move people around. Companies like Nike, they keep people forever. Chick-fil-A, they keep people forever. One of the reasons they do is because they give people the opportunity to move from department A and function A to role B in function B. People move around and develop new competencies, new muscles, because they have natural skill sets, passions, and interests. And I know at Building Champions, a lot of our teammates have moved chairs many a times, and they continue to make even greater contribution to the business as they take on new stuff or they let go of stuff. So you might want to write this down. It's a term that you'll hear me use often, which is mission first, people always. If we're always thinking about the mission of the business first, and we're thinking about people always, instead of having it the other way around, what we do is, how do we need to be thinking about our people and moving them around in order to accomplish the vision? And when you communicate that, you let people know that they're part of the team. You need them, but you might need to move them into a different seat on the bus, and they weigh into that. They contribute to that when you go through that ultimate contribution exercise, as well as the taking ground exercise. I keep looking over here in my home office because it's all over my wall. My board has this on it. So this is the this is the taking ground exercise. And you know, that's been up there since I moved home, and I've been knocking things off as we've been getting it down. I hope that helps. I hope it's not too vague, but connect with me on Facebook if you want a little bit more information on that. I'm even willing, I'll pick up the phone and I'll talk to you about those exercises if I can help you. Anything else, Nor?
Nope, just a lot of thank yous.
Thank all of you for coming together today to celebrate the release of this. I hope that you get it in your hands. Baker did an amazing job on it. It's not a long read. The CEO of the president of Chick-fil-A read the manuscript in one day and called me at the end of that Saturday. Just Yeah, it fans the flame. And he's in there as well. There's a lot of great leaders in there. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for celebrating with me, bringing your curiosity, your time. If there's anything that Building Champions can do to help you, reach out to us. You can reach us on our website, and that tells you how. And go to that link for the 7 perspectives, get those materials, use them, because that thing's coming down tonight at midnight. All right? Thank you. Thanks, Building Champions team, for helping me.